And there we are. We are live and direct from Podfeet Podcast Community area.
You didn't think that one out before you started.
Wait,
did
what is it? The Podfeet
Podfeet Podcast Empire? Or
Empire. And there's our empress, Podfeet herself.
Jill says you are somewhere. Yes, but your somewhere is in the middle of nowhere. If you drive 36 miles, where do you end up? Well, we've done a sound check. We haven't done roll call. There we go. Bruce and Mike and Jill and John and Sandy and Steve. That's it. It's very quiet in here. Actually, it's not that quiet. You guys are pretty chatty.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce likes being in a small town. Oh, I don't have anything against small towns. There's just no Disneyland there when you get there to compare to, right? And that's fine. Yes, we are. All right. Do I need to do anything else other than start?
I think we're ready. We did
I
our
forget
sound
any
checks.
important points? We did a sound check.
Yeah.
We rebooted.
Now it's going to be a short live show, likely, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna
Which is fine.
do a little bit here, and I've got pre-recorded stuff.
Okay.
Let me make sure. Wait a minute. Hang on. Hang on.
What happened?
There's a whole section. Shoot. Let me see something. Entertain yourselves here for a moment.
So what is the power users, Mac power users debate between Disney World and Disneyland, John? I think I missed that one. Although I know David Sparks, huge Disney fan, lived very close to Disneyland. Yeah, Katie versus David. But what's the Disneyland versus Disney World debate? World. Yeah, so she preferred Disney World. Is that what I'm hearing? Versus David, who preferred Disneyland. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Disney World does have more to offer, and you could easily make that a multi-day excursion. You can make Disneyland a couple-day excursion easily with, what's the other park there, Al? Help me out a little.
Oh, Epcot?
No, I'm talking about Disneyland. Yeah, California Adventure. No, DCA. What is that?
Yeah. Disneyland California Adventure. Is that what DCA stands for?
I think so.
Yeah, there. Mike is saying DCA.
Disney California.
California Adventure. There you go. Yeah, I don't know if it's better or worse. Well, Disney World is bigger in a lot of ways with a lot more stuff, but bigger isn't necessarily what I'm looking for. I want to get out as soon as possible.
It kind of depends on how much time you have, and
yeah,
I guess whether you're more interested in rides versus attractions versus eateries.
All right. I now have the correct show notes.
Okay.
I think it's time to start.
All right.
All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, December 1st, 2024, and this is show number 1021. Wait, wasn't it just last week when I said my voice was finally back to normal? I'm telling you, I just can't win. All right, chapter mark. Wait a minute. This isn't the right order. No. What is... Something's going wrong. Hang on. What do you see first instead of bartender?
Bartender first, Stripe second, Titanium.
Oh, that's
third.
right. That's on Screencast Online. No. That is right. Never mind. I don't even know if I hit my opening line there. I barely hit that high note. All right. Chapter mark here. Who's in charge of chapter marks without Kevin?
I guess I'll have to fill in.
I don't know. Do you think you're up to it?
No, but I'll try.
I trust Jill or Sandy.
They're welcome to take over.
All right. Here we go. The poorly communicated sale of Bartender has caused many people to seek alternatives to manage their menu bar apps. While Bartender is still being developed and works as well as it ever did, you might want to consider the open source donationware alternative called ICE for macOS Sonoma and above. I've told you about it on the podcast before, but it's why I chose ICE for my latest Screencast Online video tutorial. I have to tell you, ICE is a delightful app with polish you don't normally associate with open source tools. Remember, before you click the link in the show notes, that Screencast Online is a subscription service, but with your free 7-day trial, you can watch this episode, or this tutorial, I should say, along with all of the available back catalog. There goes the heater.
I don't think people would hear it.
Yeah, I think it's not too bad.
No.
Okay, now here's something you really should listen to. Bart thinks I should use a different bumper, that I should have alternating bumpers, which exhausts me. No, thank you. Let's see. And he sent me some bumpers he made, but I don't favor them. Actually, I could play them for you.
Yeah. Let's do a little audience sampling since we have time.
Yeah. All right. So let me put them on my desktop. I put them there. Desktop. Okay. So let's listen first.
We're giving the
the original one.
Okay.
Bossy, Mr. Boss Face. Okay. So here's the one we are using that he created. All right. This is the second one he wants me to use. And this one sounds like it farts at the beginning. Actually, it reminds me of my brother Jan.
So is he playing the bass there?
No, Bart doesn't play any instruments. He's playing around in GarageBand.
Okay.
Let's keep the original. Yeah, what he didn't like was hearing at the beginning where I do all the plugs. If I do a couple of plugs, you'll hear the same song or the same music every couple of seconds or minute or so. And that's why he thought I needed something different. But I made a deal with him. I'm going to have to try it. So we'll see. I've been trying to get Bart to monitor his own voice over with wired headphones for 3 years, and he uses Bluetooth headphones, and he refuses to try it. So I told him, I'll try this if you try doing wired headphones and monitor your own voice. And he said, okay. It's like, oh man, now I got to try it.
He called your bluff.
Yeah, but I don't have to use this one. I just have to use some different something different. So maybe I'll go. Steve, why don't you go find something that sounds kind of like the first one?
Okay.
But doesn't sound all farty McFart face.
But these aren't canned. He actually programmed them up.
I don't know.
Okay.
I believe he clipped them out of some canned one.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to look for others that are a little more.
I mean, that's the only thing that can explain this fart at the beginning of this one. Like, it sounds like somebody dropped their. Listen.
They need to have more punch.
Or like they dropped their instrument.
It also doesn't. The ending isn't really definite. They need to have a crisp begin and ending.
I think so. All right. Let me do a little plug here. All right. Now, you know, Steve and I are huge fans of Bodie Grimm and his Kilowatt podcast, which is all about electric vehicles. In addition to being great at absorbing and then explaining the technology on his show, he is spectacularly goofy. If you don't believe me, you need to listen to the Kilowatt 49th Annual Thanksgiving Extravaganza. This episode featured me, Steve, and Bodie's daughter Sierra playing a Jeopardy-inspired game designed by Bodie and ChatGPT. Before we started, Bodhi informed us that he would appreciate infighting and hijinks. I gained true respect for Sierra in how she embraced those directions. The rules are vague, we override any semblance of order that Bodhi tries to introduce, and who wins the game is a nail-biter to the very end. You can find the Kilowatt Podcast in your podcatcher of choice, or follow the link in the show notes to get right to the 49th Annual Thanksgiving Extravaganza. I believe you'll be entertained and amused. Wouldn't you back me up on that, Steve?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to do as well, and I think it's fun to listen to. And it was good to get to know Sierra.
Yeah. Oh, she was hilarious.
She's quite a young lady.
I don't want to spoil the funniest line in it, but it's basically her making fun of Steve.
And it was well deserved.
Oh, it was spectacular. I mean, it was just
How old is she?
Time.
I think
her
she's
20s?
in her probably her late 20s, mid to late 20s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd be funnier if she was one of the twins. He's got twins who are 9 or 10 years old, I think.
No, not a child.
Yeah, she's she does social media marketing stuff, highly tailored towards museums, which is an interesting niche.
She also makes video, edits video.
Yeah.
Probably as part of her company.
All right, let me do another plug here. I'm not just a fan of things that Bodhi Grimm does. I'm a huge fan of everything Jill from the North Woods creates. She's recently started to create her wonderful Start with Small Steps podcast as both a video and audio podcast. She'll be on an upcoming episode of the NosillaCast where she explains the tools she's using to streamline this process and create both at the same time. It's really, really interesting. In the meantime, I want you to check out her new video format at the link in the show notes. If you haven't heard Starts with Small Steps before, I'd call it a motivational channel where she reads books on self-help and then explains how she's used what she's learned to give you maybe some ideas of how you can use the things that she talks about to help improve your life. It's a very happy, joyful, and wonderful show in general, but look for Start with Small Steps 208, simple ways to feel at home in any place. And of course, there's a link in the show notes. Did you notice I didn't finish writing what I had to say? It just kind
I
of...
wondered where you were going to go with that.
Yeah, I remember I was working on this and Sienna came in and wanted to cuddle, and I was like, I'm out. All right, I'm going to write myself a note to finish that... write something in there. Get bad hair year. All right, everybody go subscribe to that YouTube channel and her podcast. Small steps finished. So the show notes make sense. All right. Oh, let's put the same bumper in 3 times in a row in 30 seconds. Drives Bart crazy. Yep. And then we'll get to some actual content here soon. His voice is bad. I forgot to tell Tom that I lost my voice again. Well, he'll notice tomorrow when I show up on DTNS. Copy link. All right. Something else I gotta remember to do. Can you use Find My to locate it? Yeah, where does it go anyway when it keeps leaving? Okay. All right. If you're looking for some holiday gifts that are even guaranteed to be accessible to those with low vision, check out the Unmute Presents Holiday Gift Guide. How hard is it to say Michael Babcock? It's 2 syllables. Michael Babcock and Marty Sobo are joined by our good friend of the show, Chris Cook, and Liz Botner to talk about accessible tech gifts and play contributions by internet superstars such as myself. You can find Unmute Presents in your podcatcher of choice, and then look for the episode called 2024 Unmute Holiday Gift Guide, Tech Treasures and Thoughtful Gadgets. Or, of course, as I said, you can follow the link in the show notes. All right, that's enough pimping. This is a sad story.
Oh, which one? Oh, yes.
My voice? Oh, that's actually a good GIF. Okay. I'm just doing a bunch of chapter marks to entertain Steve. Alrighty. You're welcome for the plug. I would not. The thing you got to remember about me, you will never hear me say something nice that I don't mean. I might say something mean that I don't mean, but I never say something nice that I don't mean.
Believe me, I know.
Then for, hey, $120 off the entry-level Mac Mini? Wow.
Shoot, what happened? I think I just got rid of Discord. Hold on. Give me a moment, please. All right, there.
Can you guys hear Steve? Talk to them.
Can you hear me?
Hear me?
It wasn't that I just lost Discord in the StreamYard stream.
Oh, the visuals.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start a real article. Remember last week when I told you a long and happy story about adding a new way to donate to support the shows at the Podfeet Podcast? Paul Neeland had mentioned that having to create an account to either use Patreon or PayPal was just enough friction to keep him from donating for a long time. He said that if I'd had an Apple Pay button, he would have done it long before. The happy story was how he created a Stripe account, which let me do exactly that. It was wildly successful, with a lot of donations flowing in just during the first 24 hours after I announced my fancy new podfeet.com/donate page. I basked in the joy of the generosity of others throughout Monday. And then on Tuesday, I got an email from Stripe entitled, "Closure of your Stripe account for Podfeet Podcasts." Yep. The message said, "We're writing to let you know that we have determined that your business, Podfeet Podcast, is in violation of the Stripe Services Agreement. Specifically, we're unable to accept payments for donations to unregistered charities, as mentioned in our restricted businesses list. As a result, we'll have to close your Stripe account on December 26, 2024. I couldn't believe it. I used the provided link immediately to explain that I wasn't trying to say I was a charity and that I fully expected to pay taxes on this income. A few hours later, I got a response that said, "Unfortunately, following an additional review of your account, we're still unable to support your business as it falls under one of our restricted business categories." I read all of the terms and conditions I could find, and nowhere could I find any restrictions I'd violated. I asked ChatGPT for help, and it gave me a link that talked about donations. And in there, it repeated what they've been trying to explain to me. Donations are the same thing as charity. I thought it was worth one more try, so I wrote a new email in which I asked them how I could use their services. I told them I didn't run ads and how I've been using PayPal for one-time donations, and maybe there was some different distinction I could be under that would let me give Stripe money instead of PayPal. Again, they responded very quickly. "Thank you for providing additional information about your business. Unfortunately, following an additional review of your account, we're still unable to support your business as it falls under one of our restricted business categories. And that's processing where there are no bona fide goods or services sold or donations accepted. We're sorry we can't be of more help, but these restrictions are firm." Now, I think what they mean is that a voluntary donation to a podcast isn't considered a bona fide good or service sold. I'm not holding anything back from you if you don't pay, so I'm not really selling you anything. I suspect that maybe if I'd set this up as a premium podcast and I was giving you restricted content, it might have worked, but I don't want to do that. I went to sleep very sad on Tuesday night. But in the middle of the night, I had an epiphany. Stripe isn't the only game in town. What about one of those, tip jar type services? I went back to sleep, and a bit later I woke up again with a whole new epiphany. I have seen and donated to people via something called Buy Me a Coffee. This service is widely used for shareware software, which is a bona fide good, but they never really connect the two. It's more like after the bell person brings you your luggage and they make it obvious that, well, if you dropped a few dollars in their palm, they wouldn't sneer at you. When I was fully awake, I went to buymeacoffee.com and I created an account. It asked to connect to my bank so it could pay me, and it opened to a Stripe login. My first thought that I'd hit another brick wall, but I kept going. It fed me into a different section of Stripe.com called Stripe Express, and it was branded with Buy Me a Coffee. From what I can tell, I have 2 different accounts in Stripe now, both under the same login credentials. One for my soon-to-be-canceled Podfeed Podcast account, and one to my Stripe Express account through Buy Me a Coffee. Before going much further, I did a preemptive strike, and I wrote back in my original thread to my incredibly responsive friends at Stripe. I said, I'm setting up an account at Buy Me a Coffee, but it says they use Stripe for payment processing. Can I assume that Stripe won't block me from using Buy Me a Coffee? In a much wordier answer than the other folks who'd succinctly just said, nope, Simran, amongst a lot of other information, said, I see that you have another Stripe Express connected to Buy Me a Coffee. This account is active and set to receive payments and payouts. You can use this account to collect payments from your customers. Additionally, I would also like to inform you that currently your Express account doesn't require any further verification. Now, they didn't technically answer my question, but I figured it was worth a shot to keep going. In Buy Me a Coffee, they asked for a banner image, so I supplied one that has Chit Chat Across the Pond, Programming by Stealth, NosillaCast, and Taming the Terminal logos on it. Technically, when I first did it, it said Chit Chat Across the Pond Light, but I've gone back in there and fixed that branding. Anyway, it basically just gives you an idea of a pile of podcast. They also asked for an avatar, but my pod feet didn't fit nicely in the circle provided, so I used a photo my grandson Forbes took of me. Believe it or not, that's all I had to do on Buy Me a Coffee to get the page up and connected to Stripe. Just like before, if you're using Safari, you will see an Apple Pay logo and an option to pay with any credit card. If you use Link, you can autofill your credit card as well. As I explained last week, very sadly, non-Safari browsers don't show the Apple Pay option. I didn't have to do any work at all to have these options available for you. They're just there. I think that's what they mean by the Express part of Stripe Express. It's just sort of auto set up. Now, let's talk about how smart I am. Remember last week when I said I wanted to use podfeed.com/donate as the URL instead of podfeed.com/Stripe, just in case I ever wanted to change my payment processor? Well, that decision sure became useful much sooner than I expected. I went back to DigitalOcean, my service provider, logged into my console, opened my Nginx configuration file, changed the redirect of podfeed.com/donate from Stripe over to buymeacoffee.com/podfeed. I reloaded the Nginx web server, and now my donate link goes right to Buy Me a Coffee, the donation page there, instead of Stripe. I just feel so brilliant for doing it that way. Now here's a little more info on Buy Me a Coffee. From your perspective, while you do get to choose how much to donate, it's in the number of $5 coffees you want to buy me. Now you might want to think $5 is a lot for coffee, and it is, but that is just about what my grande, non-fat, no-whip, no-foam 180-degree mocha costs over at Starbucks. You won't be able to donate $38 or $27, but I don't think anyone's ever done anything but a multiple of $5 anyway. Well, actually, I think somebody gave $12 last week, so I'm kind of off on that, but you're going to have to be in $5 increments. Now, it defaults to 1 cup and has options for 3 or 5 cups, but you can type in any number of cups you want to donate. Then it suggests you say something nice and add your name or social handle. I think that's sweet. Stop and drink some water. No, I think the money is going through, Frank. And I'm kind of glad I've stopped it now because it's December 26th when they're going to close it. But they haven't erased the money. Not quite sure when it gets to me. I should check to see how that works. I do have a list of the people who donated that way, so I'll be sure to let you know if it doesn't go through. All right. 3 calf pow. That's funny. On the flip side, having Buy Me a Coffee and Stripe involved means the financial cut is taken by 2 companies instead of just one. I still have to pay the 2.9% plus 30 cents to Stripe, and Buy Me a Coffee takes another 5%. That's pretty steep. In US dollars, it means $20 turns into $18.12. You know what, though? That's still great because everyone who didn't want to open an account at all has an easy way now to use Apple Pay or any credit card they want. Now, of the 3 services, the best deal for me is still Patreon because I got in on it before 2019, so I'm considered a founder. Founders only pay 1.6% plus 30 cents. Now, the next best deal for me is PayPal at 2.99%, and then Buy Me a Coffee, which is at 7.9% plus 30 cents. I don't mean to discourage you from using the new shiny Buy Me a Coffee option if you don't want to create an account. I'm just saying if you already have a PayPal or Patreon account, it's okay by me if you want to keep using it, especially those Patreon accounts. Now, there's one more great thing about Buy Me a Coffee. They have a very obvious toggle in the interface to let people see the donation amounts in their own currency. I had Stephen Getz in Canada check, and he confirmed that he can see it in Canadian dollars rather than US. Now I need Tom Maddock to verify that the interface is accessible without actually donating this time. He checked out the Stripe one to make sure it was accessible for me, but he doesn't need to donate to prove that it's accessible. The bottom line is, I had a sad couple of days after such a great victory, but now I'm happy again since I found a really good solution. Fingers crossed that Stripe stands by what they told me and leaves my Buy Me a Coffee account alone. And of course, I'm patting myself on the back for my brilliance in naming the URL generically to podfeet.com/donate. All right. Now, one more thing about the change from Stripe to Buy Me a Coffee. After Ian Prinsen made a donation via Stripe, I wrote to him to discuss one thing that gave me pause about the service. I could see his home address. In fact, the physical address for every kind donor is in the database in Stripe. I don't want access to that kind of information. I was asking him if he thought that was an intrusion on your privacy right around the time I got the notification from Stripe that they were canceling my account. I'm happy to note that Klaus Wolf donated to the podcast using my new Buy Me a Coffee method, and I just checked. The supporter page I can see gives me no personal information about him other than the email address he provided. Now, he was kind enough to add a little note where it says say something nice, and he added his social media handle. So I see that, and the little note does show on the main page at podfeet.com/donate under recent supporters, so you can see it too. The other thing is he donated in euro, and his euro turned into dollars to me, and I actually got more than a $5 coffee because of the exchange rate. In any case, I'm glad to be using Buy Me a Coffee, so I'm not responsible for knowing anything about you that you didn't choose to share with me. There we go.
How do you do the cent symbol again? Are you
going to put it in where I lost it?
Yeah.
It's option
$?
4.
Shift. Oh, not
Just
shift,
option.
just option.
Yeah.
Got it.
You fixed it? Mm-hmm. While you're there, can you fix the spelling for... Oh, no, that's on a different... Never mind. There was something else I saw. Oh, she instead of C.
In this post?
Yeah. Just do a Command F. It's in the second to last paragraph. It says that the supporter page I can she. Patreon. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm not really sure, Frank. I haven't actually paid that much to it or paid that much attention to it. But yeah, Bart talks about that 30 cents thing on top of, he says, please don't give me $2 on Patreon because it's almost all gone by the time you do that. Okay, let's see that one. Whoops, closed the wrong one, not that one. I need this one. All right. Oh, now we're going to play something by Bart. Yeah, it's unfortunate that I have to pay both companies now, though. The 5% to Buy Me a Coffee and the 2.9%. But like I said, it's donations, so it's all good. All right. Oh, I got to do a chapter mark first. Let's put in our bumper by Bart. There you go. Do you want to hear a little bit of Bart?
Sure, I always do.
Another thing I got to remember to do tonight. Okay. Yeah, I did have a choice on one of the services on the 3% to say, make you guys pay it. But I don't know, that seems dirty.
Kevin, you made it.
Kevin. All right, let's listen to this. Choose to share with me.
Hi folks, Bart here with a little solo review where it's possible I may need to apologize for spending a little bit too much of your money. But anyway, let's get stuck in. I'm going to set the scene a little bit here and say that it's probably fair to say I'm not shy about buying Apple Watch bands. At last count, I believe the answer was 30, and I don't own any watch bands anymore that I don't use. I give them away when I realize I'm not using them, and I've also reviewed quite a few of them on the NosillaCast over the years. Now, the fact that Apple haven't changed the size of the lug for me anyway since my Apple Watch Series 0, because I've always bought the bigger size watch of the two, which they've changed the name of that size many times. But anyway, it's had the same size of lug. And the Apple Watch Ultra that I'm wearing at the moment also shares the same size of lug as the original Series 0 big version. So every strap I've ever bought still works with my current watch, which is kind of cool, which is also why I have 30 of them to some extent, but also I just like buying them. Because really, when it comes to my fashion sense, my tastes are spectacularly simple when it comes to the more traditional stuff like clothes and shoes. Right? I'm not spending any significant amount of money whatsoever on clothes or shoes. But I do push the boat out a bit in terms of me watch bands. I basically consider having the perfect band for every situation and every color combination to be something I take pride in. And for the holidays, I love to have something silly and childish because it is guaranteed to be noticed by kids and to bring a smile to their face. The adults are completely oblivious to the fact that I have a Minnie Mouse Christmas watch strap on, despite being a grown man. But the kids absolutely, totally and utterly notice it. You know, at Halloween when I have my appropriate Halloween ones on, people, only the kids notice too. Anyway, like I say, I like buying watch bands. I've told you about them many times. So you might think I spend an absolute fortune on watch bands. But of those 30 straps, the vast, vast majority of them actually aren't that expensive because I tend to steer clear of the Apple own brand ones with the exception of the sports loops and stuff, which come in at about €50. And actually, of my very favourite bands, very, very few of them cost more than €50. And a lot of them are between €20 and €25. Every now and then I'll push the boat out with a nice official band from Apple. I think I spent $129 on one of the leather ones once. And I have a feeling I spent a little bit more than the usual $50 on some of my Apple Watch Ultra bands because they tend to be a little bit expensive. But on the whole, I actually don't spend a lot on watch bands. So I rather surprised myself after watching Apple's most recent keynote that I have completely, A, that I bought the thing, and B, that I have completely, totally and utterly fallen in love with Apple's rethink of the classical Milanese loop designed for the Apple Watch Ultra, because I'll be honest, the €219 price tag, it, generally speaking, would have scared me off in the past. But because this was the first year in as long as I can remember that neither myself nor the better half needed either a new iPhone or a new Apple Watch, I was able to sort of mentally justify to myself, well, normally at this time of year, you're buying at least one smartphone or smartwatch. It means you're spending at least €500. So only spending €219, why, you're saving a fortune. This is very intelligent of you, Bart. You're being really frugal. No, I'm spending €219 on an Apple Watch strap, but hey, whatever one does, whatever one tells oneself to help one feel better as one balances the books, so be it. Anyway, I bought it. I bought it in natural as opposed to in black because my Apple Watch Ultra is last year's model. I think it's the Ultra 2 though. By the way, it's in natural titanium, not in the new black they just announced this year. So I bought the natural titanium coloured version of the Milanese loop. Now, this is not the first time Apple have sold a Milanese loop. In fact, if memory serves, Milanese loop was one of the original handful of options with the very first Apple Watch Series 0. And they didn't really have much to choose from back then, but the Milanese loop was right there from the start. And to be blunt, I was never interested in that strap at all. It was a lot more money than the sports band. I don't remember how much more, but I remember looking at it going, nope, 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 nope. It also looked rather delicate and fragile. The very, very fine links looked very delicate. And it just didn't fit my fashion sense. You know, the infinitely adjustable nature of the magnetic closure definitely piqued my interest. I liked that idea of a magnetic closure that was infinitely adjustable. But when I started getting feedback from friends and family who did buy them, I soon discovered that no, actually, the infinite adjustable isn't great because the magnet isn't strong enough and the darn things won't stay put. In fact, one of those unhappy friends is a certain Alison Sheridan, who you folks may have heard of. And her experience of the Milanese loop really wasn't great, to the point that when I said I'd bought a new Milanese loop, I got a very, very, very raised eyebrow on the Zoom call. And a quizzical look. I was like, are you nuts? I don't think it was said out loud, but that's certainly what I heard. It's, are you nuts? Anyway, this new design is a completely different beast. It is a Milanese loop in the sense that it's basically teeny, teeny, tiny chainmail, but it's made of titanium. And so it doesn't feel weak or fragile. It feels engineered to perfection, to the point that it's almost impossible to believe these are separate pieces of metal and not a single flowing metal cloth. It's also quite light because it's titanium. But like the Apple Watch Ultra itself, it feels robust. You are not in any fear of damaging this thing. Nothing about it makes you think, oh, I could hurt this. It feels so robust and it looks so exquisitely engineered. I mean, it looked good in the keynote, which is why I chanced buying it for €219. And I thought it looked great in the keynote, but actually in the flesh, I don't know if metal has a flesh, but in the physical world, it is even nicer than it looked on the screen when Apple gave it all the best possible lighting and did everything they could to make, to jazz it up as they do in a keynote. But you know something? In the real world, it's even nicer. The tolerances of each of those teeny tiny little links is astonishing. It really does feel like a ribbon of metal that flows, as opposed to what it really is, which is an extremely elaborate three-dimensional chain. The keynote only showed the black variant, but it is available in the natural titanium, and I think the natural titanium looks absolutely gorgeous, and of course it matches perfectly with the Apple Watch Ultra in natural titanium, and for the first time in a very long time, my phone actually matches, because I didn't buy a new phone. So last year's natural titanium iPhone also matches perfectly with the Apple Watch Ultra and the band. So the really cool thing is that by adding this very nice Milanese loop to the Apple Watch Ultra, which is on its own, and particularly with the other straps that tend to come with it, it looks utilitarian, it looks outdoorsy, it looks adventure-y, which 99.9% of the time is exactly the look I kind of like. I am quite an active person, I am quite a sporty person, so a watch that looks sporty and active doesn't feel wrong on my arm. In fact, I kind of like that look. And a lot of the watch straps I buy really play into that. They're big, chunky, playful, and or practical looking straps. But as soon as I slid this Milanese loop on, the watch transformed. It's the same watch, but it now transformed into an elegant timepiece that would look perfectly fine paired with the finest tuxedo. To be honest, it looks like the kind of watch James Bond would wear to impress. It is just amazing how it transforms this utilitarian, outdoorsy device into an elegant timepiece. It really is very pleasing how it does that, and that was what I was hoping it would do, and it does. Getting practical then. So I've already mentioned the magnetic closure really wasn't great. Well, that's been redesigned. But actually, I've just realized I need to get even more practical and say that unfortunately, this like everything else that Apple make for the Apple Watch Ultra, it is only available in one size of lug. It is only available in the size of lug that is on the Apple Watch Ultra, which is the size of lug on the bigger of the two of every generation of Apple Watch. So if you have been buying non-Ultra watches of the smaller size, I am afraid there is no new Milanese loop available for you. But if you have any bigger watch of the two sizes from any era, it will work just fine. I checked this by sticking it on my blue Series 7, and it worked. It looked a bit odd having the natural titanium, but actually I think it works better on an opinionated watch like a blue or a red one than it would on the silver colored one, because the silver is just not quite the right color for titanium. And so I think that would actually look worse to have sort of the brushed aluminium next to the titanium would probably look pretty bad, whereas the titanium on blue or the titanium on red actually works grand. Actually looks quite nice. Okay, so the second practical point is, so that closure was absolutely terrible on the original Milanese loop. Have Apple done better on this one? Well, they've completely redesigned it. It is this, how the strap works is 100% different to the original Milanese loop. It's not a loop with a magnet and the magnet sticking to itself. It is a loop. So you do end up making it longer, sliding your arm through it and then tightening it onto your wrist. It is infinitely adjustable, but you can lock the adjustment. So you infinitely adjust it once, and then you use a quick release to open it, slide it on or off your arm, and then you can quickly, pull the loop tight and clip in the attachment. So Apple have called this attachment the parachute clasp. And what you need to imagine is it's a two-part piece of metal. One part receives the end of the loop, and the other part is around the watch strap. And there's a little switch that you can flick up. And when you flick it up, the metal attachment is free to move along the Apple Watch strap. So you put it where you need it to be, and then you push it down to lock it in place. And then the end of the loop just clips in. And so basically you unclip it and the watch is as big as possible. Then you put it over your arm, you pull it tight, and then you dock into the little docking thing and you are locked. And the parachute clasp has two little parallel buttons on each side, and you don't only push them. You push and pull back, which is actually the natural gesture to do because you basically push and pull apart. And only if you push and pull will it come loose. So if you are exercising or doing anything, you're not going to do this by accident. This mechanism is not going to trigger by accident. And yet, because it's pushed together and pulled back, it's completely natural when you really genuinely want to take the watch off. So I have found it to be an extremely clever design. I have zero doubt that I have zero worry that this is going to come off when it shouldn't. And I have zero faffing about when I genuinely want it to come off. So I am really happy to have infinite adjustability, which I've always liked with the Velcro bands, but infinite adjustability with a memory. So I basically set it once and don't have to worry about it. It is extremely nice. So the bottom line is, I don't ever remember spending, well, no, not do I not remember. I have never spent this much money on an Apple Watch band. But I'm really happy I did. I do not regret this investment at all. I have now turned, my watch into an elegantly engineered piece of jewelry. It is absolutely gorgeous. I could wear it to a gala dinner. I can wear it to a meeting. And because it is titanium, it doesn't mind getting wet. So I have also worn it while out exercising and stuff, and it works just as well out there. So the same strap is as at home when I'm out getting a walk, when I'm on the bike, when I'm doing a housework, when I'm just in work, or in the world's fanciest gala dinner. It's at home everywhere. It's kind of amazing that one strap can do all of that. So like I say, I actually consider it to be value for money given the high quality. It's not cheap, but it is good value in my opinion for what you get for your money.
I'm just reading what John posted. Isn't that the same ones we just got? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only difference is the length, but
Yeah.
yeah, it looks identical.
All right. Time to plug. Let's see. Support the show. It's going to sound like I already did that, doesn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, I think he says bah humbug for one of them, and he says ho 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 to turn it on. That's what he said. We used to have a plain old timer. Oh, what is that? Is that your watch band, Jill? That's an interesting one. All right. This week list of This week's list of heroes is long because of the new donation methods. In 1 week, donations came in from David and Lynn and Paul again, and Hannes and Tom and John and Dave and Frank and Ian through Stripe, and then Klaus through Buy Me a Coffee. How awesome is that? If you'd like to be nifty like them, you know where to go. Podfeed.com/donate to use Apple Pay or any credit card. Did I say that right? Hannes. I said Hannes. Is that Hans?
I don't see the text for that.
Yeah, because it got erased. I ended up with 2 versions of the show notes, and I was typing while Bart was talking there.
So you're going to put that in?
Wait a minute, Kevin. Hang on. Yeah, why aren't I seeing you? Hang on. Got to re-record this. Did I miss it
what?
in? I remember you. Did I not? I'm checking. I thought you did donate, didn't you, Kevin? You're not yanking my chain, right? Yeah, where is it?
Was it direct to Stripe? Or some other?
I think it was.
PayPal, but through Stripe.
Oh,
Wait.
no, that's right. That's right. Hang on. Let me record you in there. Okay. Okay. And how would I say Hans? It's Hans, probably, not Hannes, right? Okay. Let me record that again. All right, here we go. We're going to do that again. I'm glad you reminded me. Oh, you want me to make fun of you? Okay, I wrote it nice. Okay, I'll change it. Here we go. He'll get my insult here. Okay, I had to rewrite. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this is better. This week's list of heroes is long because of the new donation methods. In 1 week, donations came in from David and Lynn and Paul a second time, and Hans and Tom and John and Dave and Frank and Ian through Stripe, and then Klaus through Buy Me a Coffee. Oh, and Kevin wanted to play too, but he didn't understand the new assignment, and he used PayPal. Bless his heart. Well, how awesome are all of these people? If you'd like to be nifty like them, you know where to go, podfeet.com/donate to use Apple Pay or any credit card of your choosing.
Wow.
What? You
Was
like
that
the
Was that making fun enough there, Kevin?
Was that a little rough going with the bless his heart part? He asked for it. Okay, there is no blog post, Steve.
Yes, I see that.
All right.
So, yeah, we got, it's 10 till.
I am not going to do, there is no blog post. Yeah, so I'm just going to go right here. Drop in the audio recordings. Well, that's a problem. The audio recording's not in there.
How would it get in there normally?
I would have dragged it.
When
this
do you
is
do
not
that?
good. This isn't good, you guys. What did I do with it? Oh, dear.
Do you remember what you named it?
I've got a folder for it. I see. You check the trash. Oh, man. This is not good. Oh, seriously, guys. Oh, I'm going to kill myself. It was such a good recording. It also means if I... Oh, found it. Where are you? It's sitting in last week's. No, 2 weeks ago. Jeez. Okay. Whew. Okay. Let's see. There it is. That was... Because I knew I'd checked it. Okay, here we go. Let's see how that sounds. I think I have to split the audio for you to be able to hear it. Credit card of your choosing. You've all heard me mention before our good friend Pat Dengler, who's a certified Apple consultant. I'm always telling stories about things she helped me with. Well, I've asked her to come on the show to tell us a story of something that happened to her friend and neighbor, Dorothy. Welcome back to the show, Pat.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. So I talked to you shortly after this incident, I think within an hour or maybe it was right after, immediately after. But all right, I'm not going to let you listen to it. It's a really scary story. Her neighbor almost gave $30,000 to a scammer. All right, thanks for coming on the show, Pat.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to bump her up a little bit, even though I know it's going to fix it. All right. Here we go. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like? I bet you knew that. But you can always send a question or a suggestion right to that email. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You can follow me on Mastodon, podfeet.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube with nothing interesting going on, you can go to podfeet.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast castaways. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the... This is the wrong ending. It's also talking about somebody named Greg. You can support the show. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/PayPal or podfeet.com/donate. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCast castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. I got to fix that.
Yeah.
Save. Oh, probably time for a chapter mark thing. I think somebody reminder to unmute. Oh, I didn't know you had that in there. Stay subscribed. Too soon. Have you chapter mark counted, Steve?
Not
Thanks
yet.
for listening and stay subscribed. Okay.
All right. I think I got it.
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, that's what I got.
We made it through.
Yeah. How long was it?
Export. Unmute. Oh, you want to know before I finish? Let's see. 53 minutes. Oh, that's longer than I thought. Good. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming. This was a lot of fun. This was probably the highest chatting per person we've had in a long time.
High density chatting.
High density chatting. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's good. All right. I think I'm going to call it, unless you have anything further to contribute, Steve.
No, I have nothing to contribute.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'm going to go rest my voice a little bit, I think.
I think you should.
All right. Bye.